Princess Anne, Princess Royal, is Queen Elizabeth II's second child and only daughter, and was born in 1950. I think everyone in Britain knows of Princess Anne and possibly the world. What if I tell you there was an attempted kidnap on Anne in 1974 and it almost worked? Watch on as we go into the story and see if it was stupidity or just bad luck for the kidnapper that it didn't work. On the 20th of March, 1974, Princess Anne and her husband Captain Mark Phillips were returning to Buckingham Palace along Pall Mall in their Rolls-Royce, driven by Alexander Calendar. Rowena Brassey, the princess's lady-in-waiting, was sitting in the car across from the princess. Next to her was Anne's armed bodyguard, Inspector James Wallace Beaton. Another car approached. This white Ford Escort forced the roller to stop by blocking their route. A man got out. He was Ian Ball, 26, an unemployed labourer from North London. Beaton got out of the Rolls. Ball had 2 guns. He fired 6 shots at the princess's car. Anne's personal police officer responded by exiting the car to shield her and to attempt to disarm Ball. But Beaton's gun jammed, and he was shot by Ball, as was Anne's chauffeur, Alex Calendar, when he tried to disarm Ball. Brian McConnell, a nearby tabloid journalist, also intervened, and was shot in the chest. Ball now got to the car and tried to open the door, but Anne and Captain Mark Phillips was holding it shut. He managed to force the door open eventually. Ball grabbed Anne by the arm but did not want to hurt her or use force. He was telling her, "You need to come with me now," and saying, "Come with me, Anne," which she replied, "Not bloody likely." Eventually she managed to get out of the car from the other side with her lady-in-waiting. A former boxer called Ron Russell was passing by and punched Ball in the back of the head and led Anne away from the scene. Now Police Constable Michael Hills appeared upon the scene. He was also shot but had already called for police backup. Detective Constable Peter Edmonds arrived and gave chase, finally arresting Ball. Ball had rented the escort. When searched, police found the haul you see in the photograph above: handcuffs, Valium, a ransom letter addressed to the Queen. He would demand £2 million in £5 notes, the money stuffed into 20 unlocked suitcases and sent by plane to Switzerland. The public and authorities was puzzled how a mentally ill unemployed man could strike up a plan like that on his own. It almost went to plan and obviously made security, which wasn't very high for royals back then, look weak and had to be upgraded in a big way for senior royals. Beaton, Hills, Calendar, and McConnell were hospitalized and recovered from their wounds. For his defense of Princess Anne, Beaton was awarded the George Cross by the Queen, who was visiting Indonesia when the incident occurred. Hills and Russell were awarded the George Medal, and Calendar, McConnell, and Edmonds were awarded the Queen's Gallantry Medal. It was widely reported that the Queen paid off Russell's mortgage, but this is not true. Russell said in 2020 that a police officer suggested it might happen, so he stopped paying his mortgage in anticipation and nearly had his house repossessed after 4 months. Anne visited Beaton in hospital and thanked him for his assistance. In 1984, she spoke about the event on Parkinson, saying she was scrupulously polite to Ball as she thought it would be silly to be too rude at that stage. Ball admitted to attempted murder and kidnapping in court. He was sentenced to a life term in a mental health facility. He would end up in Broadmoor, the high-security psychiatric hospital. Ball was prosecuted for the attempted murder of the princess's detective, and various offences under the Offences Against the Person Act, but he was not, perhaps surprisingly, charged with treason, threatening the life of, or kidnapping, the sovereign's daughter with the intent of extorting money from the royal family is not treasonable in the absence of an actual violation. Ball told the court, "I would like to say that I did it because I wished to draw attention to the lack of facilities for treating mental illness under the National Health Service." Ball's plan wasn't exactly masterminded. It was a simple plan and it almost worked. If he was intent on taking Princess Anne, he could have used force and taken her. He could have easily killed her in a heartbeat as he shot the people trying to protect her without hesitation. I would say Princess Anne was very lucky that night, and so was the people that defended her. Lucky that they was never killed. They lived on to be true heroes, receiving the medals with personalized notes from the Queen to say thank you for saving her daughter.